Welcome to the Put On Waivers Media Group, home of the Put On Raiders podcast and the Student Body Right podcast. This is your place for the best breakdowns and the best insight for those who fight on and bleed silver and black. Now, here are your hosts, Dwayne Douglas and Ryan Holmes.
And welcome, everybody, to the glorious episode of the Student Body Right USC podcast. I'm your host, Dwayne Douglas, and as always, I am podcasting off the beautiful shores of the Pacific Ocean. Beautiful day out here in Southern California. PORSBR is my X handle, if you will. So it's no more Twitter. I guess it's called X now. And Put On Waivers _ podcast, where you can see all the USC and Raider stuff on Instagram and also on Threads as well. So make sure you check that out. And then also, just keep doing what you're doing for us on YouTube. The comments, the corrections. If I do make a mistake, I'm not afraid to admit it. So I see a couple of those I made, so people corrected me on those, so that's fine. But great job by you guys. We love to interact with you, so keep that going. And also, you can text the show. That link is in the bio too. That phone number is in the bio. So you want to text some questions, all that stuff like that to the podcast. We really appreciate all that you guys do for us, myself and Ryan Holmes. So let's just jump into it. I told you August 1st, we're going to have a preview. Let's start previewing. Let's start previewing it right now, because this is USC football. This is one of the most exciting years that we can think of for the Trojans. And I think my motto for this right now is the mantra that they've kind of taken on right now is don't run. And this head coach has not run from the expectations. He's run towards the expectations. So I think that's the one kind of the cool thing that I saw in his statements and when he's been making statements from day one, is that we're not going to run from being USC. We're not going to run from being this team that represents the best in West Coast football. They're not doing that. And he's just jumped right in. Expectations are not something you run from. It's something that you should be proud to have, and this USC team should be proud to have those expectations around them. And there are people who are really they have such a. I'm telling you, the people who I know cover this team, and people who I know who, as we cover this team, people who I talk to, this team is really confident, which makes me confident. But they're confident about the defense. They're confident about the special teams, and they're definitely confident about what they can accomplish offensively with Caleb Williams and these myriad of weapons. So what we're going to do in our first preview show is preview some of these guys who I just label flat out as just weapons. They're positionless players, kind of like in basketball and the NBA. Guys are positionless. These guys are positionless. You can put them up anywhere and line them up anywhere. So let's start off with Zachariah Branch. It'd be jersey number 1. And he is the closest thing, let's be honest. I mean, to that, I don't want to put him in Reggie Bush category or Tyreek Hill category, but that's kind of what he is. Like, I mean, like, people talk about, like, I'm not going to run from, if Lincoln Riley's not going to run from expectations, I'm not going to run from expectations. I think the guy is going to be a Tyreek Hill clone in a lot of ways. Like, he has the ability to get in the open field and just make people miss and make plays all over the field. You can give it to him you can put him in the backfield and throw him to out of the backfield. You can put him in motion on a jet sweep. You can do, you can run any route in the route pattern and a route tree. He's able to accomplish that and able to do special things with the football once you get in his hands. All you want to do in these situations when you have these guys, and we go over these 3 weapons here, the kind of the guys who I say are positionless, who can just go anywhere on the football field and make plays for Caleb Williams, make plays for Lincoln Riley. The first guy is Zachariah Branch, because he can do those things. I mean, he really is a special, gifted, talented player, and I'm not sure how people are going to defend him. I mean, when they can put all these weapons on the field at the same time, that would be cool as well. But let's just be real. Like, they have a lot of cool toys in their chest, if you will. And Zachariah Branch is one of those guys. I'm not sure what you do with him. I mean, he's very similar in some ways to playing kind of the same way that Mario Williams plays, but him and Mario Williams on the field at the same time, that those guys can beat you with straight line speed. They can beat you with wiggle. They can beat you in the open field. They can do, I mean, you want to do some mesh concepts where they're running away from people. They're going to be able to do that. My only question is, hey, I mean, when they rush three, drop eight, like they try to do against USC all the time, is he going to be smart enough to be like, hey, I'm going to sit in this zone right here and then just go right up the field. Taj Washington does can do those things, but I mean, it's as good as Taj Washington is. This guy just has that special gear to take it, a 6 yard, 7 yard completion and go all the way to the house. I mean, those are the kind of things that you want from this offense. Looking at Riley, which we expect, is having that big playability. And those are backbreaking plays. And this is what, this channel is Raiders and USC. I've seen enough backbreaking plays in close games with the Chiefs to watch Patrick Mahomes throw right over the top to Tyreek Hill. And those guys are really, I mean, that's really special. I mean, it's really special connection. I think that same kind of connection could happen with Caleb Williams and Zachariah Branch as well, too. I mean, comes from a football family. We know about that. There's a connection there. That's all obvious, and we know about that. But this is the thing that people are really excited about: his ability to just break games open in the open field, in open space, and just you have to account for him, even though he's going to be walking on as a freshman. You got to account for him wherever he is on the field, and that is going to open up things for other pieces on this team as well. Let's roll over to Raleek Brown. So Raleek Brown is kind of, if you look at the situation here where they talk about where he lines up or what he's cast as right now. He's put in a slot at a wide receiver. So he's not, he did run the ball out of the backfield last year some, but you just saw, it was just the tip of the iceberg, if you will, with Raleek Brown last year in his freshman year. He was so close to breaking some plays. As the season got on, he got more and more into the flow offensively. And yes, we did have some, the Tulane game had that issue with some of the running sideways and stuff like that. Some of those mistakes you can expect from a freshman, but I'm looking for this USC staff to kind of get those plays out of him, to kind of help him to just, come through and just make the right plays in those right moments. I mean, if once he gets upfield, similar to Zachariah Branch, like once he gets up the field, it's done. I mean, he's tough. He's not just like the little scat back. I grew up with a lot of different scat backs, the Aaron Metcalfs, the Dave Meggetts, the people like that. My father told me about all these guys and kind of YouTube it and see what these guys were. And they just were special weapons, especially on third down, money down. You got to have it. As good as this offense is, they're going to face third downs. They're going to face some tough situations. And just to have a guy who can there's so many times where he just was so close to just breaking one for a touchdown. He's just so good at it. I mean, he's just so good at the ball in his hands. A very short-handed receiver as well. I would look for, obviously, in the weapons category of this USC 2023 preview. Let's just really sit back and just marvel at what Raleek Brown can do, because he can do a lot of different things as well. The next weapon, if you will, my definition, of course, I said it earlier, is a guy who is kind of positionless, but can do a bunch of different things on the field. He was kind of touted as, the tight end from On 3 and 24/7. But he's just gonna be a weapon for USC, and that's Deuce Robinson. No, there was some talk about him maybe getting drafted in the National Football League. That didn't happen. But he's a guy who has just been special his whole life athletically, and I think that he is a guy who, if you go back and look at all the Kyle Ford plays, okay? Because Kyle Ford last year, he was the pass catching tight end for SC, right? Remember that play up the seam against Arizona, where he got caught at like the 5-yard line. Great play call by by Lincoln Riley and Caleb Williams, and good delivery of the football, getting him on the move, if you will, so he can always just finish. He can just finish that run and make a big play for the Trojans in a big moment against the Wildcats. Like he's finishing that play because he can run like Zachariah Branch. He's one of the fastest players, in college football. Like he is tremendous speed. And also with his frame, he's a gigantic human being in the red zone. That's going to be a huge target for this USC team. 6'6", a huge arm span. Like I mean, he's going to be a special kind of talent, special kind of player for Caleb Williams and for USC. Like I don't know how many snap. I mean, you have all these weapons. I don't know how many snaps. I don't know how many how many snaps, how many catches, how many targets they're going to get, but it's still a good problem to have. Having a really good problem to have is having, okay, we have all these weapons. What do? We can match up anybody against anybody. Hope you got linebackers. Hope you got safeties. I just hope you do, because if you don't, and I know there's some talented defensive teams that USC is going to play this year, but if you don't have those pieces, good luck, man. Good luck, because these guys are really going to take advantage of you in open space, and you have to be short tacklers with Branch, with Brown, with Robinson, because if you don't, they're taking it to the house. They're gonna walk to the house. So really cool things here going on with USC. The confidence we talked about, they're not running away from, the pressure, running away from any of the expectations of this 2023 season. They're kind of jumping right in and going in, jumping in that pool and not worrying about anything else as far as that goes. But Branch, Brown, Robinson, they've been previewed, and this is going to be a big thing. Those guys are going to be flat out weapons for USC. Forget about the position of wide receiver, tight end, or running back. That's what they do. They're just weapons for the USC Trojans.